Hello, fellow Sudokans, and welcome to Zen and the Art of the Guardian Sudoku Puzzle. It's Monday, the 26th of September 2022. Don't be offended that I called you a Sudokan. I believe it to be a good thing. It's a term I came up with to describe people who play the game, right? It being no other adjective, noun actually, to describe a person who plays Sudoku, so I decided to use that term. Um, now, you are probably a beginner because you've seen the message at the beginning, the link rather, that says beginner or easy level Sudoku. So either you're an absolute newbie, or maybe you've played the game a little bit before but don't have much experience, or maybe you just really like the easy games, or maybe you love the hard games but you love to play the easy games too, and I think that's great. Any of those are fine for joining today's lesson. Now, if you are an expert and you're playing the easy level game, you may have to kind of be a little bit patient as we go through and explain the various ways of finding numbers, but this is really for kind of basic explanation, really, and get you to start the game, I think, and start playing the game more regularly. If you've never played it before, if you've just played it once or twice, I think you'll enjoy playing this great game of Sudoku. It will help with your logic. I can't guarantee that it will delay the onset of Alzheimer's. There have been some papers to describe such brain activity improvements. Increased brain exercise may be able to stave off Alzheimer's. I'm not sure whether that's really proved beyond the shadow of a doubt, but anyway, it certainly won't do you any harm. And if it helps you to think more logically about certain things, great, welcome aboard. Right, so let's get on with our game of Sudoku and explain about the rules. On this, if you come to other games on this channel, you sometimes find me talking about all various kinds of things about life here in Thailand, where I live, and politics, global politics, not Thai politics though, global politics, and I'm from the UK and often talk about Britain and America. And anything else? Oh yeah, get on with the game. Right, okay, sorry about that. Sorry about the delay there, but we should get started, shouldn't we, in explaining how to, or what the rules of the game are. So if you're a complete beginner and you've never seen one of these grids before, where have you been? Certainly not on Planet Sudoku, but what we have is a grid of 9 squares in each row across. There are 9 squares. Some of the squares are filled already. For example, in this row we already have a 1 and a 5. 2 squares are already filled. That means we have 7 empty squares. And look over here, in this middle row here, we've got 1, 4, 6, 7, and 3 already filled. That means that we will be looking for digits to fill these empty squares, and the digits will be 2, because we don't have a 2 yet, 5, we don't have a 5, 8, and 9. Those are the numbers that will fill these empty squares. Now, if you're worried that this is somehow mathematically challenging, don't worry, it's nothing to do with maths whatsoever. It's simply a game of logic. Now, not only do we have to contend with finding digits to fill the row here completely, we also have to do exactly the same thing with each of the columns. And there are 9 of these columns, of course, because there are 9 rows, so of course 9 by 9, it's a 9 by 9 grid. And then there are these small grids like this, which contain 3 squares across by 3 squares down, and that will in fact give us 9 squares in a small block here, or box, or whatever you want to call them. We can't quite agree on terminology. I often call them blocks, I occasionally call them boxes. There is no standard terminology, I think. Right, okay, so how do we go about finding the answer? Well, I can see various things already, but I would like to show you the easiest thing first, because I think that's the right thing if you're a complete beginner. So let's see. This block up here, right, has a 5 and has a 2. That's it. We're still looking for all the other numbers except 5 and 2. But I want you to consider the digit 8, because I happen to know that we can find the digit 8. And I don't know this because I've played the game already. I just know it because I can already see it. I can see it because I click on the surrounding digit 8s. Now you see highlighted in blue we have 8 here, and 8 down here. Now if we consider that a number can appear once only in its row, like this 8 can't appear again in this row, and this 8 can't appear again in this row, And the number can only appear once in a column, right? Because there are only 9 squares. Well, look, when we look up here, we can see these 8s block across here and block across here, and this 8 blocks up here. And we already have a 5 in this square, so that means the 8 must go there. Now, there is no need to recheck your work if you have discovered that there is only one location for the number to go. The number must go there. It cannot be anything else. Sudoku should have a unique solution to be a valid Sudoku puzzle, and so we know for sure. Now, in this same block, because this block, I like this block, let's start at the beginning. Block 1, top left. If we're traditional Western scribes, we also can find a digit 3 using a very similar process to the one that I just showed you. Right, I'll click on the 3s and I'll give you a chance to have a look and jump ahead of me. Okay, I just twiddled my thumbs about 10 rotations there, and now let's say the 3 blocks up here, the 3 blocks up here, and this 3 blocks across here, and that leaves us just 1 square. You saw that before me. You saw it before I said it, didn't you? Okay, so we know now that the 3 must fit there. Right, now you know how to play Sudoku. We just need to go around the board looking for stuff like that, and you'll find, wow, it's easy, isn't it? Why didn't I start this game before? Or maybe you're thinking, why should I do it if it's that easy? Well, of course, this is an easy level Sudoku, and once you've played a few games, you might like to graduate to puzzles that are more difficult, more challenging, and ones that will overheat your brain to the point of melting. Anyway, that's for later though. For now, we just need to continue finding other things in this particular Sudoku grid. Like I said, I can see some things, but they are more advanced things that I don't really want to bring into a beginner's game, because I feel, you know, when you learn a topic, right, you don't want somebody to give you all of the advanced stuff when you absolutely begin. You know, if I begin learning something, I want to know the basics first, the easy stuff first, and when I feel confident with that, then I can move on to something a bit more challenging, and that's true for Sudoku as well, I think. So even though I can see various things, I'm not going to mention them because I want to show you just the easy way forwards. We have 4 blocking across these 2 rows, and that means 4 must fit into that square there. Right, now here's a slightly different approach, right? A good one though, something we need to consider. Right, now look at this row here. Now a moment ago we just looked at boxes, right? We looked at that block up here and this block down here. But now instead of that, we're going to consider this row. Now let's have a look at this row. And we've got 3, 4, 8, 9, and 7. We don't have a digit 1 yet. So we think to ourselves, okay, what can we do about digit 1? And first up, we have to say, well, remember, number can appear once only within its block. So these empty squares are in fact blocked by this digit 1 here, right? 1 cannot appear in any of these squares in this particular block. So if we are considering this particular row, as we are, we know that this square and this square cannot be 1. It's not possible. Okay, so we leave that in blue. And so that means that if it's not in these 2 squares, that only offers us 2 possibilities. That's this square and this square. Now if we look up here, we're going to find an intersecting one, as I'm sure you did. You jumped ahead of me again, didn't you? Good. Go ahead of the teacher. It's always good. 1 blocking down here, so this can't be digit 1. So again, in this row, there's only 1 option, and we know that the 1 goes there because it's not possible to go anywhere else. It's not available in any other position. So we know that it goes there. Okay, here's another way of doing a similar kind of thing. Along this row here, we don't yet have a digit 6. We have a 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 9. We don't have 5, 6, or 8. Those are the 3 numbers that we're looking for in this particular row. 5, 6, and 8 must fill the 3 empty squares. When we consider digit 6, what do we see? When we click on a 6 on the computer, we'll see that the 6 blocks down here and the 6 blocks all the way down here, because it can only appear in this column once. And so that means the 6 must be in that square there. Now we also know that the other 2 squares are occupied by 5 and 8. I did say 5, 6, and 8. You may have forgotten that if you've got a memory like mine. But And you don't need a good memory to play these kind of basic games, by the way. You might if you want to play with other techniques for the more difficult games. But they say that this game can improve your memory as well. Now 5 blocks down here like this, so this can't be a 5, so we know the 5 is there. And there's 1 digit left to complete this block, this row, sorry, which is an 8. That's all we need. We've got everything else. If you check, you can pause the video and check if you don't believe me. Why don't you believe me? Right, okay, now I want you to find the missing 8 in this row here. Come on, dear learner, you can do it. Dear learner Sudoku, novice Sudokan, you can find it. Got it? Okay, well done. Let's just click on the 8s to see. So we see 8 blocking here, 8 blocking here, 8 blocking here. So there's only 1 empty square in this row. We know that the 8 has to go there. Right, well done. Congrats. By the way, if you hear a kind of noise in the background, that is actually rain. It's kind of light rain for here in Thailand, where we have torrential monsoons. We've had so much rain over the last couple of weeks. It's been horrendous. But today it has been raining like this for the last few hours, and so I've had to make a video with background noise of the rain, even though it's not ideal. Okay, now the best place that's going to help us along quite a lot is to look in this particular block here. Now I can spot something happening with the 7s. Can you? Okay, yes you did, well done, congratulations. Yes, we have 7s blocking up here and up here, and that will put 7 into this square. And now, when we look at this 4 down here, and we say 4 blocks all the way up there, look, there's just 1 empty square there, so we know that the 4 must appear here. And now the next place to look, if you're using logic, which I sometimes forget to do, I don't guess, by the way, we don't guess at the answers, is to look in this square. Why is that? Because that's the only empty square. We have 8 digits already placed, so we know that we can find the final digit here, right? And if you check through, you'll find it's number 1. There's no digit 1 anywhere, so we know there's a 1 there. Right, okay, we are moving along quite nicely, I think. Now the thing about Sudoku is, as always, is trying to decide where is the next place to look. Now as you develop more ideas, more techniques, you can think of more ideas, more or learn more things, or come up with better solutions and using slightly more difficult logic. But as I said, generally in these kind of Monday Guardian games, I try to keep the solution as really limited to absolute first principles here. So let's try to find a 4 in this particular block here. Okay, let's click on the 4s and let's see what we have. We have a 4 blocking across here, and we have a 4 blocking up here, and so that's going to give us the 4 in that location down there. You'll have noticed that your eyes are now starting to go up and down the columns and across the rows, right? And this is a kind of basic thing that we need to do when playing the game. There are other things that we need to do as well later, as I said, you know, when you have kind of more advanced technique. But for now, that's good enough for us. Now, do we have a 9 in this column yet? We have 3 empty squares. Do we have a 9 anywhere in this column? The answer is no, we don't. And what do we know? We know that this 9 does block both of these squares, or if you prefer, look, we've got 2 9s actually blocking this square, this and this. Double reason. But anyway, certainly this 9 blocks both of them, and so now we have just 1 square here for our 9 to go in. Now sometimes we look and we don't find, so let's have a look. What do we have for these last 2 squares? When we check up and down, we find that we don't have 5 and we don't have 6. And we look across to say, hey, can we find anything? And maybe you say, oh no, we can't, because we don't know, we don't have a 5 or we don't have a 6 across here. But hang on, just a mo, because actually what numbers must fit into these three squares here? Look, we've got 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 and 9. So we know that these three squares must contain digits 1, 5 and 7. Now can we say which is which? We've got a 5 up here, we've got a 1 up here, we don't know anything about 7, so we don't know which is which, but we do know that they contain 1, 5 and 7. 1, 5 and 7, I should say that one last time, 5 and 7. So we know that the 5 is in one of these three squares. We don't know which one the 5 could appear in one of these, in this square. Actually, we've got a blocking one down here. So it could appear in this square or this square. So if it appears here, it blocks across there, and if it appears here, it still blocks across there. So we know that this square cannot be a 5, even though we haven't placed the 5 yet. Right? Okay, so now we know that the 5 must be in this square here. And now we can get the last digit for this column, which was a 6, I think I said. Getting to enjoy it now? Good, good. The more you play, the more you'll start to work out some nice logic patterns here. And you'll find all kinds of patterns. 6 blocks across here. 6 goes in this square here. The missing digits in these two squares must be 2 and 8. Now I know you can say, how can I find these numbers so quickly? It's just from having played a lot, you start to see the patterns of 1 to 9. You can kind of, they jump out at you pretty quickly, really. So this 2 blocks down here, and so that can't be a 2, so we know the 2 will fit here. And the last digit to complete this set of 9 here is 8. Okay, I think we're coming on quite nicely now. Where should we look next? As I said, sometimes we look and we don't find, sometimes we look and we find. Let's see, we have 2 empty squares here, so this is probably a good place to look, right, and check. Now, what numbers are missing across this row? We have a 1, we don't have a 2, we've got 3, 4, there's no 5, we've got 6, 7, 8 and 9, so it means that 2 and 5 must fit into these 2 squares. Now, can we say which is which? Well, when we study around the grid, look around for intersecting numbers, we say, hey, we've got a 2 up here already, so can this be 2? No, it clearly can't. We know that the 2 goes here, and now we'll finish this row with our 5. And now we can use that 5 to say 5 blocks down here, there's 5 blocks down here, and we know that the 5 goes there. The missing numbers are 1 and 7 to go in these 2 squares, 1 and 7, but we can't say which is which just yet. That's okay, we'll find you later. Now we see that there is only one excuse me, empty square in this row here, and when we look across we'll find it's a 2. We don't yet have a 2 in this row, so we know 2 goes here, and now of course we've only got 1 empty square for this whole block here, right? So which number is missing? It's a 3. And like I said, even if you think I'm finding these numbers a bit too fast, don't worry, you will also find them quickly soon. Now the missing digits in this column here, we've got 2 empty squares, we are looking for 5 and 7. Now, can we say which is which? Come on, I'll give you 2 seconds to find the answer. 1, 2, right, okay, found it, well done. Yes, 5 blocks here, so the 5 goes here, and 7 is in that square there. As always, as I said, you know, we have to kind of look and see, look around the grid to find the next place we should look. And that's what I'll do now, because if you are new to the channel, you should know that I never play these games ahead of time. Even the advanced games, I have no idea before switching on the camera how they're going to turn out. I can see 5s blocking across here and 5 blocking up here, so I have to work out solutions live with you, although of course you should actually try the games before you watch the video. Now that I'm teaching you the basics here, 5s across these 2 rows here, that puts a 5 there. I'm teaching you the basics today, but now you've seen how to play the basics. When you come back tomorrow, or you finish this game and click on another game from the easy playlist, there are hundreds of them actually, try to play the game yourself first before watching the video. That way you'll progress much more quickly. Or get yourself a book of easy Sudokus, or find some other easy Sudokus and attempt them. Okay, now we don't yet have a 1 in this row here, but we see 1 blocking up here and 1 blocking up here, so that gives us the digit 1 in that square. And now we can say 1 blocking down here. Good idea to use the number we just placed to say, hey, you can't be a 1, you must be a 1, and you must be a 7, because nothing else is left. Now the missing numbers for these two empty squares are 6 and 9. That's what we need for the full complement of this row, and we see a 6 blocking up here, so we know the 6 goes here and the 9 is in that square there. We'll take that 9 and say 9 blocking down here into this row here, and 9 blocking up here, and 9 blocking across here, and that gives us this square here as a 9. So we have now, you see, look, we've filled in a large amount of the digits already, and so we are left with fewer options, fewer squares. Sometimes we call these small squares, we call them cells. There are fewer cells to fill now, and so that narrows the choice, right? And also makes it quicker to find the numbers. Now, actually, you will learn when you get onto the harder levels that if you end up with a puzzle like this and think, oh, it must be easy from here on in, it may not be. You could have really difficult logic puzzles at the end from this kind of position, but this is not that kind of game, and so we will be able to finish reasonably quickly from here on in. Let's have a look and see what's missing in these two squares. I don't actually know, but I'll have a look for you. What we don't have is a 2. Well, as soon as I see that, I know I'm going to find one of these two numbers. What we don't have is a 2 or a 7. There's no 2 or 7 in this column. Now, there's such a close by 2 here. We know that the 2 can't be there. We know that the 2 has to be there, and so the 7 will finish the column for us there. Right? Okay. There are 2 empty squares here. Let's have a look. I'm not sure whether we can get them or not, but let's look and see. What we are lacking is 4 and 6. Now, can we say anything about the 4? Oh, either of these 2 empty squares being 4 or 6? The answer is yes, we can. Have you spotted it yet? Now, this is not quite as close as that 2 was very close a moment ago, but we have a 6 over here, so this can't be a 6. We know the 6 must be here, and the 4 then must be there. Now we have 4 blocking across here, and 4 up here puts a 4 into that square. We've almost finished the game now, not much more to do. We have a 1 blocking up here, that puts a digit 1 here. We'll use that 1 that we just filled in to say you can't be a 1. We need a 1 in this block here, so the 1 will go here. And now we're just looking for a 9 to complete this block here. Got the idea? 9 blocks across here, so this must be a 9. Now we have 1 empty square here or 1 empty square here. It doesn't matter which order we take them in, equally as good. We are lacking a 6 in this top row or this block. You'll find, of course, it is the same number, must be the same. Now for this block or this row, the same thing, it will be a 3. We have no 3 for this block, we have no 3 for this row, and now we do. 3 blocks down here, 3 blocks across here, that puts a 3 here. I should have done this one first, I suppose, because that's the last square in the column, but I could see that very easily. If you see something, you should do it immediately, okay, whether it's the next logical step or not. If you know something for sure, you should always do it next. 8 blocks across here, that puts an 8 into here, and the last number here is a 6 for this block. Now we have just 1 empty square across here. We need to fill it with a 7, and here we're looking for 4, and the last number to fill here for the block here, the column here, and the row here, and the entire grid to make a logical perfect solution will be a 7. And there you go. So that's today's beginner level Sudoku puzzle. Please try out other easy level games, and after you've done a few, start to visit the medium level. There are medium levels, and try to work on some slightly more difficult puzzles, and then ones that are more challenging, and you will enjoy the game until you get up to the level of expert, as I said, which case your brain might overheat, or you might turn yourself into a logic king or queen. Okay, bye bye.